What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sanichi with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Donald Trump has secured a historic victory in the U.S. presidential election. He's now making plans to build his cabinet, but spent his first day after the vote at his home in Florida, and supporters there were jubilant. Louise Watt reports from West Palm Beach.
Excited about the future, 18-year-old first-time voter Logan Kaplan has travelled almost an hour to come to West Palm Beach, Florida, to try and catch a glimpse of the newly elected president, Donald Trump. Kaplan says he wasn't initially a supporter of the Republican until an assassination attempt during the campaign.
Clearly, God's plan was that Donald Trump should be the president. I think that when his head moved half an inch, he would be dead. And if not for that, the country would be in a very different position. And I decided at that point that I was fully on the Trump train, and I am an avid supporter.
Kaplan initially moved to Florida to go to college, but dropped out. One of millions of non-college educated men courted by the Trump campaign to broaden their support. That, along with gains from minority voters, gave the former president an historic win. He will become only the second man to return to the White House after leaving office, and the first president who's a convicted felon. Donald Trump has been staying here in his beachside resort, Mar-a-Lago. His campaign says that he's received a congratulatory call from Kamala Harris, and that both agreed on the importance of unifying the country. That's something that's going to be difficult after this turbulent election campaign. Trump and his allies called Harris a communist, and she called him a fascist, saying he was a danger to democracy because of his threats to prosecute his political enemies. But more than 72 million Americans voted for Trump, believing he ran a better economy and border than his successor Joe Biden and Vice President Harris. Mary Fry, who lives close to Mar-a-Lago, is also excited about the election result. She's had a Trump flag outside her home for 7 years, since he took office the first time. Now she says his leadership is needed again.
Have you been around since 2020? I mean, look at how the world is falling apart, the unnecessary wars. I have a child, he's 34 years old. I don't want war anywhere. I love someone that's going to sit down at the table and is going to negotiate before military is involved.
That hope and optimism is in short supply among Harris supporters, who are still shocked, like many across the world, that Trump defied assassination attempts, a criminal conviction, and other cases against him to make a stunning political comeback. He has vowed to heal the country, and he has his work cut out. Justin Wu, Ed Moon, and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Meanwhile, Kamala Harris has conceded the U.S. presidential election. The vice president didn't address the crowd on election night, as votes were still being counted. But she returned to the same location the next day to speak to the nation. Joyson was there and brings us this report from Washington, D.C.
Staying engaged in the fight for freedom and the future of the United States was the key message of Vice President Kamala Harris's concession speech to the nation. The Democratic candidate saying that she's proud of the race they've run in record time, and though she's conceded this election, she is not giving up on the fight that's fueled her campaign.
We must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. In our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States.
In less than 24 hours, the atmosphere has completely changed here at Harris's election night venue, Howard University. High hopes dashed at the vice president's alma mater, the historically black university, also holding special significance as many students here were hoping to witness the election of the first female president of the United States.
I felt a little hopeless this morning, feel kind of lost, and it feels like whiplash, kind of, going from last night to tonight, from today.
This is probably the second worst day of her life, and like as a woman, like we've been cut out of so many different places, and I know that I would want somebody to show up for me, so I knew I had to show up for her today.
Although we are probably one of the most progressive countries in the globe, we still have our issues too, and we have a lot of them.
It appears Harris was not able to overcome deep-rooted frustrations on the economy, the high cost of living following the pandemic, a key issue on voters' minds. But Harris says that her faith in the people of the United States is strong, and that sometimes only when it is dark enough will they be able to see the light. Lucy Lee, Andrew Ryan, and Joyce Sun in Washington, D.C. for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is denying media reports that President Lai Ching-te tried to call President-elect Donald Trump. It comes as Taiwan is preparing to work with the incoming administration on security cooperation. But many in the country are concerned that the U.S. commitment to Taiwan's defense could now change. Jaime Okan reports.
Just hours after Donald Trump secured enough votes to become the next president of the United States, Taiwan's president, Lai Ching-te, took to social media, posting this congratulatory message. The last time Trump won office in 2016, he accepted a call with then-President Tsai Ing-wen, breaking decades of U.S. policy on Taiwan. Taiwan's presidential office has denied a report from U.S. media outlet Bloomberg that Lai tried to call Trump, saying instead that it's looking forward to working with the new administration. That message was also echoed by Taiwan's Foreign Minister, Lin Jialong, as he addressed lawmakers on what to expect with the incoming administration in Washington.
首先，川普首次执政时，包括开启对台军售常态化、高层访台、宣布放宽台美交往限制等，造就台美关系显著正向发展。我方让审慎努力推动川普新政府延续首次执政
Security and government officials are now warning that neighboring China, which threatens Taiwan with invasion, might use the transition period from Biden to Trump to increase pressure on Taiwan. But on the streets of Taipei, many have mixed feelings about the result and are hoping Taiwan's security is still a priority.
可能也是有一点觉得不安，想说不知道川普对台湾就是未来的一些态度会有什么样的改变。他就是有一直在提到说要付 他保护费的事情，对，所以就是也不知道说后面他会就是怎么样去对台湾的一些可能会比较友善或者是比较不友善的一些态度这样。
还是希望能够就是保护台湾这样，因为毕竟就是现在两岸关系比较僵紧，对。
我是台湾的自己的事情要靠自己了，我从来不认为说台湾的事情呢要依赖别人。
Trump, known for his transactional approach to the U.S.'s international relations, says he's looking to put America first. Leading up to the election, Trump had previously criticized Taiwan for not paying for its defense. That's despite Taipei buying almost all of its weapons from Washington. Analysts say that with Trump now in office, that kind of rhetoric could be concerning for Taiwan and other allies in Asia.
I think Taiwan, like all countries, needs to approach this in a way that, tries to prove value to the United States and show why, alliances and why security ties actually do matter in the context of broader American national interests.
Conservatives in the U.S. have urged other countries around the world to step up defense, saying it shouldn't just be the U.S. helping to ensure security. But with Trump's unpredictability, Taiwan, along with other Asian countries, will most likely have to invest more in defense spending.
I think there's more comfort in Asia than Europe with the prospect of more broadly in terms of Trump 2.0. I think it is likely that states within Asia will continue to increase their defense budgets simply because, in the world of Trump, commitments are not necessarily ironclad.
While the US and Taiwan don't have official ties, it's still too early to tell if security cooperation between the two sides will change with a second Trump presidency. Patrick Chen, Cadence Quaranta, and Jaime Ocon in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
A Fringe pro-China political party could be disbanded if the government has its way. It says the Chinese Unification Promotion Party interferes in elections here and is a threat to democracy. Rick Lowett is following the story for us and joins us live from Taipei. Rick, a threat to democracy, the government says. What else is the party accused of?
Well, Taiwan's Interior Ministry accuses the Chinese Unification Promotion Party of violating national security laws and election interference laws. It also says that its members are involved in criminal activity from gang violence and robbery to human trafficking and even murder. Significantly, it says that the party took $2 million in cash from Beijing to push China's narrative that it claims sovereignty over Taiwan and that it disrupted the presidential elections earlier this year. Taiwan's government now asking the nation's top court to rule on whether this warrants the group being disbanded. They say it's a threat to democracy. And if they're successful, it will be the first time that a political party has been disbanded in Taiwan at the request of the Interior Ministry.
What would the disbanding of this political party mean for politics in Taiwan?
Well, how to deal with China is the political issue here. It's that which defines the differences between the political parties here rather than traditional left-right values. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party, or the DPP, they prefer to keep Beijing at arm's length, whilst the main opposition parties, they want a closer relationship across the strait. And of course, the CUPP is arguing that they have the right to promote whichever political thought or values they have. But if, as the government says, they are found to be doing it illegally, they're going to have to defend that in court.
Thanks, Rick. That was Rick Lowett on the government's effort to disband the CUPP. Taiwan is laying out its plans for this year's Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum in Lima, Peru. It's one of 21 members participating at the forum. Harel Hughes reports from the presidential office in Taipei.
Taiwan's delegation to APEC 2024 have met to express their hopes for the annual economic forum happening next week.
那我们现在欢迎赖清德总统以及林信义领袖代表。
我相信在林领袖代表的带领之下，代表团一定可以圆满达成任务。
Due to objections from China, President Lai Ching-te himself is unable to attend, instead giving his best wishes to former economy minister and senior presidential advisor Lin Xin-yi, who will head the delegation of officials and tech leaders heading to Peru next week. Lin represented Taiwan at APEC 2005 and has been chosen for his wide-ranging experiences in both the private and public sectors. He said APEC was a chance for Taiwan to use its tech prowess to promote sustainable economic growth in the Asia-Pacific, including for small enterprises, indigenous communities, and economically disadvantaged groups. An experienced diplomat, Lin also hopes to create stronger ties with other economies in the region.
最后，我也会利用这个机会呢，与各会员体的领袖代表，透过双边或者交流，来表达我们愿意秉持与国际社会成员互助、互惠、互补 这样的意愿跟精神，来为亚太地区的和平稳定发展做出贡献。
The delegation is set to leave for Lima over the coming days, where they'll meet with leaders and representatives from 21 member states, representing over 60% of global GDP. With a successful resume in business, economy, and diplomacy, there are hopes Lin's delegation can bring new business opportunities to Taiwan. Devin Tsai, Reese Ayers, and Harel Hughes in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out this British Museum collection showcasing Picasso's lesser-known works. I'm Sunny Chi. Take care and see you next time.